nights I feel my heartbeat racing slow in candlelight. Words unspoken, feelings hidden, shadows dance until the morning light. When you say you need me, I'm holding on tight. All these doubts inside me fading out of sight. In this moment, nothing else feels right. You're probably right, yeah, you're probably right.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is MCM, and you are listening to You Probably Right podcast. Remember, this episode, like all other episodes, are for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for coming out, and please subscribe or follow or whatever. If you like the show, please think about supporting the show with my Patreon. No, I'm just joking. I don't have a Patreon. We are at episode 287. Not sure how long and how far I'll be going, but here is another dynamic episode. Remember, I am not a professor. I do not profess to be anything, especially not a professor of any type of industry, type of understanding or learning. Do you understand me? I'm just joking. All right. Welcome back to You're Probably Right. I don't know. I'm a weirdo sometimes, guys. I am your host, MCM, as you know, as usual. And today we're going to go into a topic that is going to sting a little bit for some of us. And I say us because, guys, as you know, most of the episodes that I talk about, usually there's either I'm on one or the other side of the situation. And I thought this was an important one to do. So I am doing it. The episode is called It Is Not Them, It Is Actually You. I am talking to you, well, I guess I'm talking to you, the person who has done more for one individual than you've ever done for anyone else. Maybe you even stated this like a fool. You have poured out time, money, effort, attention, emotional support, love, care, and any other supposedly good thing that you could possibly pour out on a person. Maybe even things you really did not have to give, but you gave them anyway, right? So you did it for somebody who, at the end of the day, has probably done less for you than anybody you've ever been with. And how does that make sense? You might have children with somebody else. You might have been married before. You may have had a whole history of relationships, and somehow this current person or the last person got the most out of you. Some of you just have nothing left to give. So you think, anyway. The best version of you, well, they got the best version of you, I'd say, probably so far. But just remember, once you're still breathing, you can still give, and you can still receive. So maybe they received the most generous version of you, right? And the uncomfortable truth you are starting to see is that they gave you the least. They gave you breadcrumbs. They gave you less than you thought you were going to get. But you always hoped for more, right? They gave you the minimum. They gave you confusion. And you are sitting there trying to figure, what the heck just happened to me, or what is happening to me? Am I being used, or am I doing this to myself? Are they manipulating me, or am I manipulating myself, trying to fight for something that might not even be there? You're chasing someone who isn't chasing you. Do they even like you? This episode is not about shaming you, first of all. It's not about saying you're stupid or weak. It's about being honest about why we overgive. That's right, we. Why some of us overdo it, especially in romantic relationships, and why we keep chasing people who are giving us the least. It is universal. Men do it, women do it. But I am going to be honest, a lot of men live here. Literally, here, get that. I'm going to get you this. I'm going to get you that. And the more the guy has, if you're an overgiver, the more you're going to get. Matter of fact, T-Pain was talking about that just the other day. I was listening. I mean, it was an interview that happened before. And he said, it's kind of funny, I was used to doing things, but he would get money and he would buy his wife a truck or trucks, he said. And she'd be like, that's cool. Thank you. But I'll be driving with you anyway. So, but I think every guy dreams that they'll meet a woman like that, who's not a taker, who just wants to be with her man. Sidekick, love of his life. Men who overgive, who overthink, who accept disrespect, who accept crumbs of affection because they want love so badly, or they want to be the good guy, right? The good man, the safe man, that they are willing to pay for that image with their own self-respect. And it is sad, guys, women, when somebody's disrespecting you. When you have those boundaries that maybe you haven't talked about, but every time somebody crosses over one of them, you feel it. You've been called names. You've been called stupid. You've been called lazy. You've been called trying to pay for love. You've been called a trick, maybe. And on the other side, you have the person who just takes. They take gifts, they take time, they take attention, they take emotional work. Often society looks at that person as the good one. Everyone sees how much you are doing, and still somehow they are the prize. They are the one that everyone is trying to impress. They are the one who looks calm and cool and unbothered, while you look emotional, intense, and too much. But in a lot of these situations, the real problem is not just that you met a taker. The real problem is that you volunteered for the role of giver without limits, giving till it breaks your back. Sorry guys, I'm drinking a coffee. Oddly enough, it's actually helping my throat. I think I'm coming down with a little cold. That's why it might sound a little different. But remember, you are the lucky listener that gets to listen to somebody that's not AI, even though sometimes I can sound like I am AI. Anyhow, so in this episode, I want to walk through the overgiving, or what it looks like in real life, why we do it, the emotional cost of it, what is going on with the person who keeps taking, and why respect is actually more important than love when it comes to male and female relationships. At least that's what I say. I mean, honestly, you want to be loved, but I'm telling you, if the person has that lovey-dovey, squishy feeling inside of their chest for you, amazing. But if they have no respect for you, ugh. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. I believe most guys want respect more than they want love. Now, they do want love, don't get me wrong. We want both. But if somebody can get to know us, know our boundaries, and not cross over those boundaries when they cross, especially when they cross over to disrespect, those types of boundaries, the boundaries of respect. That's what every guy wants. Now, do we want a woman who worships us? No, not necessarily. Do we want a woman who will challenge us and challenge our thinking? Yes. Do we want a woman who will manipulate us, turn on the waterworks just to get their way, or tell us to sleep on the couch, or you didn't take out the garbage, so therefore no, right? People know what they do to you, and you know what you do for people. The question is, do you have the guts to stop doing for people when you shouldn't be doing for them? And Do you have the guts to call them out when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing for you? If you don't have the power, if you don't have the ability, if you don't have the words, or you don't have the guts, there's probably some sort of a power imbalance in your relationship. Anyway, beyond that, then I want to talk about the shift. The moment you stop saying, look what they're doing to me, and you start looking and look at what I keep allowing. Because when you can admit it is actually me, that is when you start to get back your power. Let us start with the simple idea of an unbalanced relationship. A relationship that is not equal, not perfect by any I was going to say it's not perfect for sure. Not 50-50. Nobody is counting units, but you know in your gut that you are giving more than you are getting. It's not even in their heart. And that's the main thing. Nobody expects, generally when you're giving to someone, it's because they have a lot less of whatever it is than you do in many cases, right? But you just want to get a reach back. Even if you know they're going to reach with an empty hand because they don't have anything, it's the thought, Anyhow, you were chasing, you were doing all the planning, all the apologizing, all the check-ins. You were the one sending the long messages, buying the thoughtful gifts, making the drives, holding the emotional weight. On paper, you look like the dream partner. In your heart, you feel like a beggar. You've been in this situation, some of you, where maybe I'm not going to get into the household chores, but maybe you do like 40 things for this person, right? Maybe there's 13 regular things you do. They literally do nothing for you. And then maybe there's one thing that you would like them to do for you. And when you ask, you end up feeling like you're asking for the world, and how dare you? You get gaslit or whatever. The thing about an unbalanced relationship is you do not have to be a therapist to know you are in one. Your body tells you. You feel emotionally tired. You're walking around with a knot in your stomach maybe. You feel resentful and guilty at the same time. You might be thinking, I should not be this upset. I'm supposed to be loving. I'm supposed to be patient. I'm supposed to be understanding. But there is this quiet voice inside that says, this does not feel fair. This does not feel right. I am tired of giving and giving and giving. That is not drama. That is not your emotions. That is not you being needy. That is your system telling you that you are carrying more emotional weight than this relationship was designed for and possibly worth. In a healthy relationship, both people give and both people receive. Now, both people give probably different things, and both people receive different things. I mean, if you're just giving what you're getting, then it's almost like you don't need to give because you already have it. And you don't need to get because you already had it. Anyway, you know what I mean. Usually you're given something and you're getting something else. Right? Makes sense? Guy-girl relationship, you'll get it. Okay. There will be the seasons when one person is struggling and the other person steps up more. But overall, there is the sense of we take care of each other. If you step back and realize, I cannot remember the last time this person truly had my back. I cannot remember the last time they came through for me the way I came through or come through for them regularly. That is not you being picky. That is you literally waking up. So why do some of us end up as the permanent giver? The one always trying to earn our place in the relationship and earn our way into their heart properly, snugly, safely? Let us be honest. A lot of it starts long before this person ever came into your life. Some of us learned as children that the love is something you earned, or something you have to earn. You had to be good, be a good child, the responsible one, the quiet one, the fixer. Maybe you discovered that when you took care of everyone else, you got praise. You were the one who held it together. But the second you had needs or emotions or you messed up, the love felt very, very shaky. You learned, if I want to feel safe, I serve. I keep everybody happy. Happy wife, happy life, whatever. Happy girl, happy world. I don't know. Fast forward to adult relationships, and that same pattern is now dressed up. It's dressed up as, I am just loyal. I am just caring. I am just giving. That is just how I love. I give 100%. It sounds noble, right? But if you really look at it, there is a fear behind it. Fear that if you stop performing, if you stop doing the absolute most, you will lose that person. You do not trust that you are lovable by yourself, without the gifts, without the favors, without the constant availability. So you overcompensate. Another piece is this belief that being nice will protect you from rejection. Some people being professionally nice, no conflict, no pushback, no boundaries, just agreeable, always flexible, always understanding. You think if I never upset them, if I never say no, if I'm always available to them, they will see me as amazing or see how amazing I am, and they will choose me once and for all. The problem is, people do not respect what doesn't respect itself. When somebody can see that you will always rearrange your life for them, well, they'll expect you to rearrange your life for them. That you will always forgive without condition, always excuse their behavior. They may enjoy the benefits, but their respect for you, well, that's going to drop. There is also something a lot of people do not like to admit. Overgiving is not always pure or as pure as it looks. Yes, there is love there, but there is also a quiet deal you are trying to make with the universe. It sounds like, if I do all of this, they will finally see my worth. If I do more than any ex ever did, they will never leave. If I suffer long enough, they'll owe me loyalty and love. You might never say those words, but that is often a contract that you sign in your head. And then they do not pay back the debt the way you feel like you should have been paid back. And then what do you feel? You feel robbed. Here's the truth, the hard truth. That contract is not real. They did not sign it. You wrote it. You enforced it. And now you are mad that they are not following the rules that they never agreed to in the first place. That is why sometimes you hear the line, I never asked you to do all that. Nobody asked you to do that. As annoying as that line is, sometimes they are telling the truth. They never asked you to give what you could not afford emotionally or financially. You did that part by yourself. They just never said no to the benefits. Or maybe they said no and you forced it on them. Right. Let us talk about emotional cost of this. Because there is a bill attached to overgiving. One of the first costs is exhaustion, of course. Not just being tired because you worked all day, right? I'm talking about the deep soul tired. the way of racking your brain trying to see what else you can do for this person. You wake up tired, you go to sleep tired. You feel like you always are on call for this person. You offer all this kind of stuff. You drive across the city to hammer a nail in a piece of wood that they could have done themselves. Any way to weasel your way into their heart. Wow, he must really care if he drove all this way just to hammer that nail in that I could have done myself. It might have taken me 15 minutes, and he came over, drove an hour just to nail this nail into the wood, and it took him 10 seconds, plus the hour that it took him to drive. You are waiting on their messages, waiting on their mood, waiting to see which version of them you're getting today, so you can adjust how much you give and how careful you have to be. That is not love. That is emotional labor. Then, guess what shows up? Resentment. You might still be doing the nice thing, but your heart is not in it the same way. You are giving them a ride and thinking, you never do this for me. You are paying for something and thinking, you don't even say thank you. You are checking in on their feelings while knowing they have no idea what is going on inside of you or how you're feeling. And resentment, well, resentment is poison. It will sit there and turn every act of love into a reminder that you are not getting the same thing back, or anything back in many cases. And it is dangerous because sometimes resentment does not come out of communication. It comes out of sarcasm, little jabs, or emotional distance. Over time, you start to feel deeply undervalued. That is when you begin asking yourself those painful questions. If I stopped doing all of this, would they even miss me? Would they still be here? If I got sick, would they show up for me? If I was the one who could not pay my bills, would they help me with mine? And the answer you hear in your heart scares you many times. Maybe you have seen little previews, times where you needed something and they were suddenly very busy, very unavailable, or it somehow became your fault for needing anything in the first place. You realize you do not actually feel safe leaning on them. You feel safer being the strong one. Even people who are, even like parents. You know, those of you who have parents, those of you who have parents, those of you who are parents, have you ever looked at your kids and said, like, okay, so I got these 2 kids, or I got these 5 kids, or I got these 4 kids, and if something were to happen to me and they were adults, which one would take care of me, if any? Yeah, just just on a different note. Anyway, losing yourself is another cost. You might look at your life and realize everything you do now is wrapped around this person. Your schedule, you have to factor them in your spending because they might need a little help here or there, whatever it is. Even your emotions, you used to maybe have hobbies or tell people like it is. You start pulling back those things to be less of yourself, to cater to them and their style. You used to have friends. Maybe you used to care more about your health or your goals. Now, so much of your energy is wrapped up in trying to hold a relationship together. You become the support system. You stop being the person with their own separate life, with their own interests, with their own charisma, with their own character. And if you're honest, the idea of leaving feels impossible. Not because the relationship is that good, but because without the role of giver, you would not know who you are. You would probably almost cease to exist, you think. This all builds on a kind of background anxiety. You fear rocking the boat. You fear asking for too much. You fear being difficult. So you push your feelings down and away and off to the side. You talk yourself out of your own needs. And every time you do that, you abandon yourself a little bit more, a little bit more. You choose their comfort over your own. You choose their peace over your truth or over the truth. And after a while, it becomes automatic, second nature. You do not even pause to ask, what do I need? What do I want? You just think, what will keep them from leaving? Now let us look at the other side of for a second, the person who's doing most of the taking. I am not here to diagnose your partner. Some people are clearly manipulative. Some are narcissistic. Some are selfish. Some are emotionally immature. Some are chaotic. Some have problems. Some are just lazy and comfortable. But in every case, the pattern is similar. They are used to you doing more. They are used to you reaching out first, apologizing first, fixing things first. They are used to your money, your favors, your emotional space. Some of them know exactly what they're doing. That's the scary part. They will give you a taste of what you want, just a taste, like a drug dealer, and then pull it back. They will say the right words, then disappear when it is time to actually act. They will throw you a compliment, show you a good time once in a blue moon, and that is enough to reset your hope, right? Get you coming back for more. We call it breadcrumbs. Just enough affection to keep you on the hook, not enough to make you feel secure or satisfied. And they know if you start to drift, if you start to pull back, all they have to do is show up with a bit of charm, with a little bit of action, and you're right back in the thick of things. Others are, well, they're not as intentional, but they are still very comfortable. They may genuinely like you. They may even care about you in their own limited way, but they are happy with this arrangement where you handle the heavy lifting. And because you do not complain, of course, until you explode, they do not feel urgency of change. They keep teaching you, or you keep teaching them that the cost of their behavior is low. They can ignore your needs and there are no real consequences. Because you know what? You're still going to show up. The more you overgive, the more you take yourself for granted, the more they take you for granted. That is just human nature. When something is always available, there is no cost to using it. People stop valuing it, right? Nobody cares about the lawnmower until it breaks. And the grass is 5, 6, 7 inches long. Think about tap water versus bottled water. In a place where water is safe, one feels ordinary, the other feels special. When you are always on tap, always saying yes, always smoothing things over, you become background noise. You lose your specialness in their eyes. Because there's so many guys out there. And here is where respect enters the conversation, because a lot of you listening do not have a love problem. You have a respect problem. You might love them. They may even say they love you, but respect is missing. They do not respect your time. They do not respect your limits. They do not respect your emotions. Matter of fact, some of them will slap your wrist for having them in the first place. And the difficult part is you might not fully respect yourself either. You keep letting things slide that you know are not okay. You keep telling yourself, it is not that deep. Everybody has flaws. Maybe I am overreacting, while your gut is screaming, this is not how I want to be treated. I want to say something that might change how you look at this. When it comes to relationship, respect is actually more important than feeling what we call love. You can tell yourself you love somebody and still treat them badly. You can feel deeply for someone and still disrespect them. But if you truly respect a person, if you see them as an equal, you cannot keep stepping on them without feeling some type of way. Respect creates limits. Respect makes you slow down and say, no, I cannot talk to them like that. I cannot use them like that. For many men, especially, feeling respected often lands even deeper than hearing I love you. You can tell a man you love him while you talk down to him, call him names, cheat on him, talk to other men, talk about other men to him, or ignore his efforts, or ignore his needs, say no to him in different ways. That love will not feel right because there is no respect behind it. Respect comes right behind love, if not side by side. And it is the same all the way around. If you are a man giving everything to a woman who does not respect you, who sees you as a wallet, a driver, a therapist, a distraction, but not as a man with his own value, you can feel that in your bones. You feel small. You feel like a service provider, not a partner. So when you keep giving in a situation where you are not respected, you are teaching them that you need to be loved. Your need to be loved is stronger than your need to be respected. You are saying, you can treat me this way and I will still show up. You can ignore me until you need something and I will still be here. And the message they get is, this person does not require a lot. I can give them the minimum and they will still be available. They will still give me what I want. At this point in the episode, some of you are probably thinking, okay, so what do I do with all this? I know I overgive. I know I accept things I shouldn't. I know I'm in something that's unbalanced. What now? This is where the title comes in. It is not them. It is actually you. Again, not to blame you for their behavior, not to blame you for their behavior, but to pull your focus back to where your power actually is. You cannot make another human being love you properly. You cannot force them to grow. You cannot beg them into respect, but you can control what you do next. The first step is being brutally honest with yourself about your pattern. Who are you in the relationship? Are you the savior, the fixer, the parent, the provider that never stops? Are you the one who takes things too far, giving things you do not even have, just to prove to yourself that you are a good partner? Do you chase? Do you apologize when you are the one who was hurt? Do you stay quiet to avoid conflict? If that is you, you have to name it. You cannot heal what you refuse to name. Second, you have to start rebuilding your sense of self-worth outside of the relationship. You have to remember that you are a whole person before and after that partner. You had a life, you had gifts, you had value before they came. You are not valuable because you suffer well for someone. You are valuable because you exist, because you are made in the image of God, because you are a person with a soul, with talents, with a story, with a life. If you only feel worthy when you are needed, you're going to keep chasing situations where you are needed in an unhealthy way. Thirdly, you need boundaries. And that word scares people who overgive because boundaries sounds like you are being mean or selfish. You are not. A boundary is saying, this is where I end and you begin. I will go up to here and you go from there. These are the terms under which I can still respect myself. For example, a boundary might be, I am not going to keep lending money if you never pay it back. Or, I am not going to keep taking last minute calls at midnight on a work night. Or, I will not be spoken to or in that way with disrespect. You set the line. And here is the part most overgivers struggle with. You actually follow through when the line is crossed. That is so important. That's the most important thing, setting boundaries. When you start setting boundaries, the reaction you get from the other person is information. If they really care about you, they'll fall in line. They may be surprised or even a bit uncomfortable at first, but they will adjust quicker than you think. They will say, okay, I get it. I did not realize how much I was leaning on you. I will work on that. If they were mainly there for what you provide, you will see a different reaction. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's guilt trip, maybe it's disappearing. When they realize you are no longer as easy to use, it hurts, but it's clarifying, really. Maybe they move on to another person who they think will do what you refuse to do now, right? Fourth, you need to stop trying to fix or earn the relationship through effort. There is a place for working on a relationship, but that is something two people do together, not one person alone. When you find yourself thinking, if I just do a bit more, if I just show them how loyal I am, they will change. Pause and ask yourself, what proof do you actually have that they want to change at all? What have they done, not said, done, to meet in the middle about anything? If the answer is very little, your effort is not fixing anything. It is just delaying the moment you have to accept in reality. Fifth, you need to pour some of that energy back into your own life. Take care of your body, your mind, your friendships, your interests. Sometimes people get beat down in relationships. Maybe they even get some sort of depression and they stop doing stuff for themselves. And then they turn around and everything's over, relationship's over, and they're fat and out of shape. They're fragile-minded in some sort of way. They lost all their friends because they stopped being around and keeping in contact. Your interests have probably outgrown you, or you've outgrown them. Even though you still love them, some of the things you don't even understand anymore. When you have a life outside of a relationship, you have a perspective. You are not easily swallowed by their moods. You are not terrified of being alone because you are not building your whole world around that person. And here is the twist. When you start treating yourselves like you matter, you become more attractive and healthy to people anyways, and less attractive to toxic ones. Users do not like people with strong boundaries and full lives. They want people who are empty and available. And lastly, and this is the one nobody wants to hear, you have to be willing to let go of a relationship. If you know that the relationship cannot be healthy. You can love someone deeply and still accept that you cannot stay with them and keep your self-respect. You might look at it all, look at all the effort you put into them and think, I cannot leave now. I'm just setting it up. It's kind of like like you're at one of those quarter machines in a casino. And it's like, well, I've already put in 216 quarters. I must be close to the payoff. I can't give up now. If I just leave, somebody's going to slide in my seat and win the jackpot. All that I've built in this relationship. I've invested too much. This is a trap, guys. Time and effort sunk into a bad situation does not turn into a good one all of a sudden, just because you realize how much you've put in. It just means you're going to lose more time. And now I want to shift it a little bit into a bit of a closing reflection. Think about how many times in your life you have said, I will never let someone treat me like that again. And then you did. Think about how many times you have told yourself, next time, I will notice the signs earlier, and then you ignored them. The common thread every time was not that all the people were the same. The common thread was that you responded the same way. You overrode your own warnings. You played the same role. Or maybe you only play that role for certain people. I don't know. Certain types, maybe. So when I say it is not them, it's actually you, what I mean, or what I'm really saying is, it is your pattern. There will always be takers in the world. There will always be people who will accept free love, free money, free emotional labor without complaint. You cannot clean them all up, but you can decide that you will not offer yourself on that altar anymore. You can decide that your love is not cheap. It is not something you throw at someone who gives you a bit of attention. Imagine what your life would look like if you chose relationships where you did not have to perform to keep your place. Where you did not have to be afraid that saying no would get you abandoned. Imagine talking to someone you are with and feeling safe enough to say, I need more from you, and then do not call you needy. They do not mock you. They actually try. That is not fantasy. That is just what you get when two adults both respect themselves and each other and decide to be together. You may not be there yet, and that's okay. You might be listening from the middle of the situation where you are in so deep, in too deep. Maybe you live together, maybe you share kids, maybe your finances are tied, maybe your emotions are all worn out. I'm not here to tell you, pack a bag and run for your life tonight. What I'm saying is start by being honest with yourself. Do not keep lying to yourself so someone else can stay comfortable. Because at the end of the day, when the relationship ends, or when you are at home alone at night, you are one left. You are the one left with you. You have to look in the mirror at yourself and live with your choices that you're making. Start small. Start with, of course, one boundary. Start by saying no once in a while, where you would normally say yes when you know you're breaking your back or breaking a boundary. Start by taking one night a week back for yourself. Start by writing down the real story of your relationship. Not the version you tell your friends or yourself, but the raw version, how you really feel, what really happened, where you are doing the most and getting the least. Then ask yourself, if my friend brought this story to me, what would I tell them? We are always more honest when it's someone else's story, right? Some of you would give better advice to a stranger than you'd give to your own soul, right? You got to start valuing yourself. I want you to know you do not have to stop being loving. You do not have to turn cold to protect yourself. You do not have to turn into the opposite of yourself. What you need is to add self-respect to your love. You love yourself enough to say, I will not keep bleeding for someone who will not even bring me a bandage. Love yourself enough to walk away from the table where you are the only one bringing the food. Love yourself enough to believe that you are allowed to receive, not only just to give. If any of this is hitting you in the chest right now, that's good. Sit with it. You might feel defensive. You might feel sad. You might feel relieved that somebody is finally saying it out loud. Take that to God in prayer if you are a person of faith. Take it to a therapist if you can. Talk to a friend who tells you the truth. Not a yes man or yes girl. Not the friend who always tells you what you want to hear. Because this pattern will not usually break by accident. It breaks when you decide, I am done with paying for other people's comfort with my peace, with my happiness. Anyhow, y'all, this has been another episode of You're Probably Right. It is not them. It is actually you. Not because they're innocent, but because you are the only one that you can change. You can stay in the same story, or you can write a new one where your love still shows up, but your respect arrives with it. And when you do that, you'll see very quickly who was there for you and who was just there for what you do. Until next time, y'all, take care of your mind. Take care of your heart. Start giving some of that love you hand out so easily back to you, the person in the mirror. You're probably right with how much you care. Now make sure you're right about how much you matter. All right, y'all. So take care of yourself. Until next time, peace out, y'all. I'm MCM, and this is You're Probably Right. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 dogs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while, understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.